worry, guys. Don't worry. I'm okay. I know I just fell down a whole bunch of flights of stairs, but I'm fine. Cause I'm Mega Manoa and you have come here to do another high-touch, high-tech lesson. Because today we're gonna talk about how things fly through the air and also a little bit about the concept of balance. But as always, before we start diving into all of our fun experiments, we gotta make sure we have the right materials for today's program. Okay, so what we're gonna need is the bag that has the pieces of paper sticking out of it. Pretty easy to find. Look for that one. It also has some other things like a giant string, some straws, some tape, a little tiny eagle, paper clips, among a bunch of other stuff. Then, aside from that, there are going to be some things that you will be needing that are not included, like a cup of water, and we need some sort of 2-liter bottle, along with some sort of large container to kind of catch the spill of the water that we're going to be using. Okay, but aside from that, that is it in terms of all of the things that we'll be needing for today. So like how I said, today we're going to talk about how things fly through the air, in which scientists call aerodynamics.
Aerodynamics? Huh?
I know, it's a pretty big word, but all it means is just how air interacts with things, solid things that are moving through the air. Okay, kind of like, you know, airplanes or a bird or a kite. So aerodynamics just has to do with how those things move through the air. Now, depending on the shape, it can move very differently through the air. Like as an example, with something that has a flat face, like a van or a bus or a truck, a giant truck, right? The front of their face is a lot more flat. That means that there's going to be a lot more opposition, a lot more pushing against these objects while they're going through the air, while they're moving forward. Whereas if you compare that to an airplane, airplanes are very pointy, right? They're not really, we never see a plane with a flat face, right? We never see that, right? It's very pointy, even with birds too, right? That way they can move nice and smoothly straight through the air, right? So the more pointy it is, it's a lot easier for them to go through it, which makes it more aerodynamic, okay? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna play with a few things. We're gonna make something that is very aerodynamic and we're gonna have it fly straight through the air. All right, so we're gonna make a little hoop glide. So these are the things that we're going to be needing to make our hoop glider, which are the 2 strips of paper that were inside of that bag. Also, we will be needing the 3 straws. There are 2 taller ones and 1 shorter one. And then finally, we will be needing all of the pieces of tape that you had. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to take these strips of paper and turn them into a hoop. As you can see, I'm just taking both ends, putting them together, and then we're going to tape this, right? But first thing I want to get is I want to get my tape ready before I get my hoop together. So I'm going to peel off this tape here, get that ready, get my little tiny paper strip and keep it together, and I'm gonna tape it from the back over here to the front, from the outside to the inside, I mean. Okay, just tape that all the way. There we go. 1 hoop is taped. Then we want to do the same thing with the next one, right? Just get your tape ready here and just go ahead and fold that inward, right? Take the outside and fold them inwards. And just put the tape from the outside onto the inside so it tapes on both sides of this piece of paper. Just like that. All right, so now we got both hoops ready. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to grab your straws. Now go ahead and grab the shorter straw and one of the longer straws. And this short straw should already have some cuts in it, which makes it easy for us to squeeze it to fit the straw right in. So just squeezing this allows this to be small enough for the tall straw to fit right through. So while you squeeze one end of the short one, push this one in about halfway. Okay, and then you want to do the same thing with the other tall straw. Just squeeze the short one and fit that in all the way so you could basically have the two tall straws right next to each other. So next thing is you just want to tape that together so it doesn't fall apart. So grab another piece of tape and do the same thing right at the middle where those two are. Just put your tape on and wrap that tape around so that they stick nice and together. And ta-da! That's definitely not gonna fall apart. So here we got ourselves the long straw. Now we're gonna tape this together with our hoops. Then what we're gonna do with this is you're just gonna take one end of the straw, put it right to the hoop, right to the edge of the hoop right there, and then just put tape right on top of there. So let me get my tape ready. And remember, just take that straw, right, go all the way, not too far, right? Don't go past the circle. Go right to the edge of your hoop. And put some tape on that. Easy peasy, squeezy lemon. There's one. See that? It's right nice and in there. And also, my straw is not peeking out, right? There's one. Want to do the same thing to the other side. You want it to be on the same side, right? So if this one's on the bottom over here, you don't want to tape it to the top of the other one. You want it both to be taped on the bottom of this hoop and the bottom of that hoop, you see? So let's get our tape here. Get that ready. Make sure it's all on the same plane, on the same level, right? Not like this, not upside down, not to the side, but this is on the bottom over here. The straw is on the bottom over there. And just go ahead and take your tape and just tape that on there. And there we go. I got myself my little tiny hoop glide. All right. And then once it's put together, and then let's see how aerodynamic it actually is. Ready? Woohoo! Not bad. Yeah, so you guys could do that as many times as you want to, right? Just keep on. And the reason why it flies so well is because, well, it doesn't have a flat face. It doesn't have any resistance. Remember how we talked about the van and the truck, right? They have a very flat face, meaning there's a lot more resistance, the air pushing against it. But as you can see, there's nothing. I can even see straight through this, right? There's definitely not going to be any sort of resistance going on right at the front or even the back of this hoop. That's why you can make it fly pretty far. So it's pretty cool that we're able to make something that's very aerodynamic. Now in science, we say that an object is balanced when it's not moving. Like, I'm not moving at all. No, I'm not moving at all. Whoa. When I am moving too much to one side, I become unbalanced. So to be balanced means that the amount of force that is moving towards one direction, whether it's a push or a pull, has to be exactly the same in the opposite direction, which evens it out to make it nice and balanced. As an example, if you take a look at this ruler, I'm going to try to balance it on my finger. Now right here, you see it's nice and balanced, but if there's too much force on one side, let's say the force of pull, of gravity, too much on one side, then eventually it's not balanced anymore. It's going to fall, right? But if you put it right in the middle here, right, then it's nice and balanced because the amount of force, whether it's push or pull on either side of this, in this case it's the pull because of the gravity, it's nice and even, and so this is balanced. And it's balanced because it's put right here in the middle, and this middle part is what we call the center of gravity.
What is the center of gravity?
The center of gravity is just the average position of the force of gravity of the object. And it's able to happen once it's supported right under that center of gravity. As you can see, my finger's right under the middle part of my ruler. But guess what? The center of gravity can move. As an example, if I put this little piece of tape right over it, obviously if I let this go, it's gonna fall. But if I move my finger to a different location, I'm actually going to be able to eventually make this balance like so. Notice my center of gravity used to be over here, but now it's over here, meaning it moved because I added an extra force, right? This is a little bit more heavier, making this side heavier, and it should have pulled a lot more, so I had to move my finger to over here because the center of gravity of this ruler is now at this point, right? And so, that being said, let's do a few experiments to see about the center of gravity. All right, guys, so for our first balancing trick, stand up, and we're gonna see what would happen if we lifted up just one leg. You're probably gonna be able to balance, but try this. Take out your arms like this with one leg up, but now move around, maybe tilt to this side, maybe tilt to this side, maybe go around a little bit. Oh, whoa, oh, I almost fell, right? It's a little bit harder to balance with just one foot, right? Even though it's really easy to just have 2 feet. If you have 2 feet, you're gonna go crazy. No problem. But with just 1 foot, right? If you try 1 foot like this, it's gonna be a lot harder to balance. Maybe try the other foot, right? Right? Try different directions, front, back, side. It's gonna be pretty hard, but anyway, let's move on to the next experiment. So next, what I want you to do is I want you to take out this little M. I call it an M balancer. And then also grab these paper clips. And what you want to do with them is just put the paper clips on the outside, on the legs of your M. Okay, so a great way to do this, you can see that there are 2 loops. There's the upper loop and the lower loop. What I like to do is I like to put the lower loop on the different side of this M. So if I put the upper loop, right, on the front, then I kind of bend it so that it comes out to the other side on the back. So one is on the front, one is on the back. That way they pinch each other on both ends, okay? So we want to do the same thing with the other one. Remember, we've got an upper loop and then a lower loop, right? Have one on one side, like let's say the outside, and bend it so the other one comes on the other side, then it pinches the paper just like that. So you got yourself an M balancer, okay? The reason why I call it M balancer is because it's evenly balanced with 2 paper clips here, right? And the way that we use this is just take your finger. First, you gotta find your tallest finger, whichever one. I'm just gonna use my pointer finger in this case. And then you have to make sure all your other fingers are out of the way, okay? All the other fingers are out of the way. Then put it right at the bottom of the pointed part of the M, which is the center of gravity, because if I let go, take a look. No. Even if I'm moving, it's still right there. Now, a few things I want to tell you is, don't have your finger pointed too much to one side because it's gonna fall. You see how my finger's pointed that way? You don't want that to happen. You want it to be pointed straight up. And another really cool trick you could do is if you make sure all of your fingers are out of the way and your finger's still pointed straight up, cool thing you could do is if you blow the sides, watch what happens. Ready? Whoa, pretty cool. Now, just to be safe, what you could do is you could have your fingers and your hand pointed inward like this. There you go. It becomes a little bit easier this way. Okay, so these are some cool tricks you could do. Have your hand face towards you, right? Your fingers are all out of the way. You could just point it there, do a little dance, right? Try to be a little bit balanced. And at the same time, right, you could blow it nice and gentle, just like that. Or you could even try it on other surfaces, whatever you want. You could even go on your nose. Anyway, the whole point is that it's balanced and we have the center of gravity right in the middle. And the reason why it's balanced is because there's enough weight on one side, just as is on the other side. This won't work if you took off one of the paper clips. As you can see, it's not balanced, right? So it's only balanced once both of the paper clips are on. So that being said, moving on to the next experiment, this part's pretty cool. This is where we want to grab our eagle from inside of the bag. Just take it out of the bag. There's the eagle and the little tiny pin. So a cool thing you could do with this is just take the beak of your bird and put it right on the... Whoa! Why is it not falling over? Well, the reason why it's not falling over is because the center of gravity is exactly where that beak is, okay? And that's why it's not falling over. It's nice and balanced. There's enough weight at the front of the wings as on the back, right? So even though it looks like it should fall, it really does, but it's not, because the center of the gravity, the average position of the force of gravity on this bird is right there in the middle, okay? So it's nice and balanced evenly on both ends. And even you could do this also with your finger, right? Do the same thing, put it right there, and then the center of gravity is still there, and do the same thing. You could make it spin, see? Just like that. Or even the cool thing you could do, you could turn this into a hat. Oh, there we go. Jenny. Yeah, pretty cool. It seems like it's defying gravity, but it's not. It's just having the center of gravity right in the middle, evenly distributed with enough weight on the front as it is on the back. Pretty cool, right? So for our last experiment, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about how water moves on the string. Okay, so to do this experiment, we're gonna be needing these things, which is the string that came from our bag, the cup of water, not included, also the 2-liter bottle. You can use any 2-liter bottle. I'm just gonna use one that has water in it, and also some sort of container to catch the water while we pour this out, okay? So what we're gonna do is, first you wanna go ahead and take your string, and you could either tie it to the lid or the top of your string, or what I like to do is I just like to put it under the weight of the water or whatever liquid that you have. So I'm putting it right underneath the bottle, as you can see. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna pour water down the string. And when you do this, you're gonna notice two things. One, that the water is actually going to stick onto the string. And when it sticks onto the string, that's a property that we call adhesion. Now, the second thing that you're going to notice is that the water is also going to stick to itself as it's going to go down the string. And that is what we call cohesion. Okay, so do you guys remember what it's called when they stick to the string? Exactly, it's called adhesion. And do you remember what it's called when the water sticks to itself?
Cohesion!
Very good. So now let's see how this works. We're gonna take our water, and you could try it different ways. You could have it the string straight up like this, and let you see what happens. Okay, as you can see, the water is going straight down the string, right? But what if you try to have the string go sideways like this? Let me put my string a little bit more underneath. Let's try to make this go sideways. Do you think, well, naturally the water just should go straight down like that, but remember that the property of adhesion, it should stick right onto the string. So if you take your string a little bit sideways like this, pour it on there nice and gentle, let's see what happens. Ready? You see that? So eventually, because it's sticking onto the string, the water begins to go sideways where the string is going instead of straight down. Now, again, the way I'm doing this is I'm not just pouring water straight out, I'm going really slowly, okay? And also keep your string nice and kind of tight too as well. So as it's nice and tight, just like that, pour it nice and slowly. And then eventually you'll see that the water begins to go sideways, as you can see here. And again, this shows us the two properties of how it's sticking to the string, which is adhesion, sticking to other things, and also at the same time, the water is sticking together, which is what we call cohesion. So just something really small that we could see with how this water is moving, and also two really awesome properties of adhesion, sticking to other things, cohesion, water sticking to itself. In any case, boys and girls, we had a lot of fun today talking about balance, aerodynamics, even cohesion and adhesion. I hope you guys had a lot of fun, and until next time, this is Mega Manoa, and I'll see you at home. Goodbye, goodbye.